So, some of you may be wondering why I'm not filming in front of my books again. Seems to be an ongoing theme with me that I don't do that, despite me wanting to do that. But I had an empty house today, so I decided, what the hell, go sit downstairs. Much more comfortable than sitting on the floor in front of your books. And today I am doing the Booktuber Newbie Tag. Now, I've not actually been tagged to do this, but a few booktubers that I've been in contact with have recommended that I do this. It's something that can help build up the channel, but also I think it's really important that you get to know a bit more about me and the type of books that I like doing. And a lot of booktubers have done this, and I've loved watching other booktubers newbie tags. I always find them very entertaining, so I decided to give it a go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer all 10 questions in the newbie book tag, and then I also found a 2.0 book tag version for Booktube, which asks more questions. There are 11 questions there, so I may answer some of those as well. Won't answer all of them, but I will do some of them. So the first question on the newbie tag is, why did you start the channel? I feel as though really I'm going to be a bit cliche with the answer. I'm going to say what everyone always says. I do it because I love reading. That is the main reason I started this channel. I started it in 2020 because I wanted to set myself more goals to reading, so that I did not only more reading, but that I changed up what I read, because I felt as though one of the main reasons I struggled with reading was that I got into a bit of a slump, because I always did the same things. I read the same types of books, I read the same authors, I avoided typical genres because I wasn't a big fan of them. And I thought this would be a great way to expand what I read, but also make more friends with it, because I don't really have that many people that read in my life. I have a few people who I could probably name a handful, but overall there's not that many people, and then the ones that do, if we're not reading the same thing, I can't really talk to them about it. And this community is fantastic for getting recommendations for anything that you need to. When it comes to books, this is the place to be, and I thought, well, there is no reason I can't be a part of that community, so I decided to give it a go. So the next question is, what are some fun and unique things that you can bring to Booktube? When it comes to being unique, I'm not really that bothered about being unique. I want to make sure that I stay to who I am and be myself, and hopefully people like me for me. And with this community, I feel as though the attention's on the books. I don't really mind if people don't follow my channel or take an interest in my channel. Ideally, that would be amazing. I would love that. But if people don't, then at least I can view other channels and I can be a part of the community in some way. And that's the main thing I really want to do, is be a part of a community that loves books so much, because that's something that I am not used to in the real world around me. There's not that many people who love books around me, and to be a part of that community is really my main goal. I feel as though I can do some things that'll be quite fun. I'll do the typical things, but also one thing that I'm planning on doing, which I really like the idea of, is I'm planning on doing book to movie comparisons of certain books. Like, I know that's not new or inventive, or I know a lot of people have probably done that, but I'll do book to movie comparisons on books that I love, books that I absolutely adored, or books that I hated in comparison to the film that I loved, or books that I loved in comparison to the film that I hated. For example, Peter Pan. Hated the film, loved the book, and I think that comparison would be excellent for me to talk about. So again, it's stuff that it's just my opinion on things. I'll do things that I care about, and obviously if people want me to do things, if they've seen a book that has been made into a film that I've decided not to do a comparison on, I don't mind people requesting that. If I get enough requests for it, of course I'll do that, because if that's what people want to see, I'm more than happy to oblige with that, providing it's something I don't mind doing. But really the main goal for me is just to be a part of the community, and I'm just going to be myself and hope people like me and accept me into the community for being me. Question 3 is, what are you most excited for about this new channel? I don't really know. I'm excited to see the subscribers build up. I mean, at the time of filming, I don't have that many, but at the same time I'm like, wow, that's a lot of subscribers. I think I have 6 at the moment, and I love all 6 of my subscribers. I think they're amazing people for subscribing to my channel, because I know sometimes I waffle on and talk about random things. And And I think, well, 6 is not that many, but then I think I've been doing this like 2 weeks. That's an amazing start, getting 6 people for following my channel and caring about the type of things that I'm posting about, and caring about the type of books and people commenting. And I'm just excited to see my channel grow, and I'm excited to, again, it's just, I'm going to probably keep repeating myself, I'm excited to become a part of the community. But I'm really excited to see where my channel goes. I hope people do enjoy it. I hope I can get more and more subscribers because of the content that I'm doing, because it's actually good content. I hope I can focus on books people care about. One of the main things I say in most of my videos is please, please, please comment if you have any recommendations, if you have any different suggestions. If I say something about a book that you've read and you don't necessarily agree with me, or even if you do, comment, let's discuss it, because that's what I want, to be a part of the community and open up them discussions. And that's what I'm excited for, to see that happening, because it already has started happening, and I'm really happy with it. I'm such a happier and better person in the 2 weeks that I've done this, because this is something I really am passionate about, and seeing people who are equally as passionate about it as me, it means so much to me. So the fourth question, why do you love reading? Which is very difficult for me to answer, because I don't really know why. I didn't read at all when I was younger. The first time I read a book, I was 13. I'm gonna say 13. I don't actually know, but I think I was about 13. I never read when I was younger. I don't know why. My dad, my stepmom, they read non-stop, and they were very passionate in getting me to do the same. They thought I would really love it. They thought it'd be great, and I picked up a book. I tried reading it. I was like, no, I don't have any interest in it. It's not for me at all. And then I started high school. Again, I really didn't care. And then I think it was in my second year, I just read a book and I fell in love with it. The story was amazing. It was, I think, a bit of a fantasy, a bit of a sci-fi. It was a James Patterson book, which I think explains why I love James Patterson so much. And it was a book series he's got, which is the Maximum Ride book series. I read the first one, never actually read any of the others, probably should. I have them all, I just never bothered reading them. But yeah, it's hard for me to explain why I love reading so much, because I've not grown up loving it. I've not grown up with people telling me, oh, it's amazing, and I'm like, you know what, I really agree, because I really disagreed. And then it was just one book that I read and I fell in love with it then. And since then I've not stopped. I pick up as many books as I can. I pick up any type of book. I tend to stick with the thrillers, of course. But I like being in that world. I love the thrillers more than most, I think. It's hard. I don't really read much outside of the thriller genre anymore. I used to when I first started, then I stopped. And that's what I'm trying to get back into now, reading more genres. Whereas now I tend to stick to the thrillers, because I like the idea of it's real life. Things can happen like that. I don't like books based off real life, because I feel as though real life's quite boring. Plain and simple. My life hasn't been as thrilling as half of the characters in my book. Yeah, it's horrifying, but I think, wow, fantastically thrilling life. Story to tell the kids. But I always think this could happen, this could be real life, but it's so exciting when you have the twists and the turns and you just don't know what's going to happen. I really love that, and I think that's what keeps me entertained. And to be honest, I think the main reason I love reading is just, it's not easy. I love that it's not easy, because even books that I read and I think, oh, such an easy read, I love it, it is not easy to read it. It's energy. It takes so much time and mental energy to focus on a book and read it. And if you're doing all of that work and giving all of that energy, and then you get lost in something and come out thinking, wow, that was amazing, that was something I've fallen in love with, then that's great. You've given up so much time and so much energy and gotten such a great reward from it. And there have been very few books where I've read and not felt like that. And I think that's why I love it so much, because you give everything to read it. I don't think many people will probably agree with this, but I know that's how I feel. Like, reading, it's something that you just pick up a book, you do it, but really it takes so much mental energy out of you to focus on something for so long, to use your brain to imagine all of these characters, what they'd look like, how the world will look around them, and then focus on that for, you know, potentially hours at a time, or even just 10 minutes. The amount of energy that must take. When there's a lot of times when you go through so much, then you put the book down, you're drained, and that is how I feel a lot of the time, and it makes it so worth it to have fallen in love with the characters and the world and the book, and that is why I love it. It really is. Question 5. What book or series got you into reading? As I've just said, James Patterson and the Maximum Ride series. I read the first book in that series, which is The Angel Experiment, and I don't really know much about the Maximum Ride series. I read it again when I was 13 years old, not read anything since from that series. First book I ever picked up, first book that I ever willingly picked up, first book I ever read all the way through to the end, and I fell in love with it instantly. But yeah, that's what got me into reading. I can't really explain why. It was just the first time I probably tried. Had I tried earlier, I may have loved it, but I did pick up a few books, and it wasn't for me then. And yeah, I fell in love with it. Question 6. What questions would you ask your favourite booktubers? I don't know. That's so difficult. Like, I can think of loads of booktubers. I would love to sit down and talk to them. I think main questions I would ask them is, oh, that's a tricky one. Oh, I don't like it. Main questions I think I would ask is what their favourite books are. I mean, I know a lot of it anyway, but I'd love to just hear it from them why they love the books, because I follow booktubers that I think are extremely passionate about the books they read. I love listening to them. It's about, like, I follow a few booktubers who talk about books that I have never read, never heard of. They're in genres that I don't particularly know much about, but I read them. They've done dedicated reviews for books, and I've watched all of them. I don't plan on reading the book. I don't know the book, but I will read the review, something that I don't really know about, because of how passionate they are about the book, and I love that passion. I love seeing that. So I would love to just sit down and listen to them talk for hours about their favourite book. I would love that. And then also I should probably ask how to make my channel as successful as that. Just asking them questions about their favourite book and just sitting back and listening to them speak so passionately. I cannot think of a better day. Okay, question 7 is, what challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? I do think the hardest challenge for me will be building up the subscribers, making sure I've got content that people want, and maintaining that, and not being disheartened if people don't like my content. Question 8, when did I start reading? When I was 13. I really should have read these questions before I started answering. Where do I read? Everywhere. I read everywhere. Plonk me anywhere, I will read. And, oh, fun fact, not really that fun, but something about me. Whenever I go out, I take at least 2 books in case I finish the first book. If I'm going out for like more than a day, say if I'm going on an overnight trip, I take 3 in case I finish the second book, because I have nothing else to do. Yes, I always do that. And the final question of the newbie book tag. What kind of books do you like to read? I've said typically it's thrillers. Typically it's things that have a twist. I love a good twist. Probably one of my favourite authors for doing twists is Linwood Barclay. He not only does twists, he does about 7 twists at the end of a book, and you never know, and then all of them work. I've never read a book of his that I was like, wasn't happy about. I loved all of them, and there are just so many. I do. I love books with a twist because I like to know if I can guess the twist. So if you have any books that have a twist, don't tell me the twist, though. But if you have any books that you know there's a twist in there, you think, oh, you might really like that, please comment it. I really want to read it. I love books with a twist. But I'm also a big fan of YA. And I think that's because I didn't start reading till I was a member of the YA community. And I think that just because I started falling in love with books at that age, it probably just sticks with me. But really, I am open to getting more genres in my index. I want to read more. I'm reading so many different genres now, not particularly loving them all, but there are some that I've fallen for completely, and I never thought I would, and that's what I'm here for. So stick with thrillers, sometimes do YA, want to do everything. So those were my answers to the newbie book tag. Now, I did say I was going to do some for the 2.0, so I'm going to do a couple of those as well. Preferably the ones that I haven't answered already, because I think that'll be the best. Okay, one of the questions on there is, what genres would you like to see spoken about more on Booktube? And I think, as I've just mentioned actually, YA. Because I feel as though a lot of people don't really do YA. A lot of people on Booktube are adults. They like reading more adult fiction, more thrillers, more adult geared towards sci-fi things, a lot more fantasy that's for adults, things like that. Whereas YA, I've heard it described as the fluffy version. But I think, as I've just said, I started reading when I was in the young adult section. I was 13, and YA books, I think I hold a special place for them in my heart because they are the books that got me into reading. I've gone back and read a lot of YA books that I read when I first started, and I still love them as much, if not even more, because it just reminds me of how I got into reading and things like that. And yeah, I'm passionate about that. So let's get more YA out there. Okay, so the next question is, what do you feel is the best way to make friends on Booktube? I think one of the main things I've done, and I know personally that it's got me a few connections, I've spoken to a lot of people just through to it, is commenting on posts. Honestly, if you comment your opinion on a certain post or on a certain book that's being discussed on a video, if the booktuber themselves doesn't comment, a lot of other people will comment to you and say, oh yes, I totally agree with that, or actually I don't agree with that because of this, and you get to open all those conversations. And I've made quite a few friends actually just through that. So that's the main thing I would recommend, is comment on channels. If you see a book and you think, oh, that is interesting, comment about it. If there's a book you know about, comment. If they ask for recommendations, recommend a book. Get a discussion open. Talk to people. That is the best way you can make friends, is by actually talking to people and talking about things you're passionate about. Because you can seek out things that you're passionate about through other people's comments, but until you find it, you're going to be snookered. So put something up yourself. Let's see what other people find. Because there's a lot of people who probably like what you like, but because no one's put it, no one's going to talk about it. So you talk about it, and people will speak about it. And it is amazing to actually see that. So that is it from me. That is my newbie book tag. I'm not going to tag anyone because I feel like all the YouTubers I follow have definitely done the book tag because they've been going for quite a few years now. But please feel free to recommend anything if you want. I post every Monday, Wednesday and Saturday. Thank you.